Griffin.
Here.
Hairston. Johnson. Bashir Jones. Joe Jones. Casey. Kane. McCormack. Valencia. Santana. Zone. You have a form, Mr. President.
Thank you. Everybody please rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, please dispense with the journal.
By Councilmember Casey, that the reading of the minutes of the last meeting be dispensed with the journal approved, seconded by Councilmember Johnson.
Communications.
From the Ohio Division of Liquor Control, file number 532-2019, regarding a new license application at 4911 Detroit Avenue, Ward 3. File number 533-2019, regarding a new license application at 13101 Shaker Square, Ward 4. File number 534-2019, regarding a transfer of ownership application at 1035 East 185th Street, Ward 8.
Condolence resolutions.
Resolutions of condolence by Councilmember Conwell for James Wiley Hobbs Jr., by Councilmember Hairston for Eric Fields, by Councilmember Hairston for Hattie Mae Stearns Fields, by Councilmember Casey for Michael Kokur.
Thank you. Are there any other condolences? Councilman Ken Johnson.
Mr. President, would we ask the clerk to hold out number for Don Moore?
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Matt Zone. You can bring it later, yeah. Thank you. Will the council members please rise for a moment of silence? Thank you. Congratulatory resolutions.
Resolutions of congratulations by Councilmember Griffin for Dr. Jawanza Colvin, by Councilmember Polensik for the ASJ High School Academic Decathlon Team State Champions. Resolutions of recognition by Councilmember Brancatelli for National Arab American Heritage Month. By Councilmember Brancatelli for Nizar Zien, MD. By Councilmember Brancatelli for Cameo on their 49th anniversary. By Councilmember Brancatelli for the Mediterranean Market. By Councilmember Brancatelli for Hussein Rabah. By Councilmember Griffin for the 95th anniversary of Open Door Missionary Baptist Church. Resolutions of appreciation by Councilmember Griffin for Greater Cleveland Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority. By Councilmember Griffin for Delta Alpha Lambda Chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, Cleveland Chapter. By Councilmember Griffin for Darlene D. Smith Jones. By Councilmember Griffin for Joseph D. Clark.
Thank you. This evening, Councilman Blaine Griffin will be recognizing the contributions made by the members of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, as well as the Alpha Phi Alpha Sorority. With that, Councilman Griffin, I'd like to please join. Oh, I'm sorry. Forgive me. Not great.
So I'm going to ask Mr. President if the sisters from Delta Sigma Theta can join us, and also Alpha Phi Alpha. And also, I believe Councilman Jones is a member of that fraternity.
And if I can, Councilman Griffin, before I want to just as loudly as I can apologize for that. Alpha Phi Alpha is fraternity. Please forgive me for anybody who I may have offended inadvertently.
Yeah. All of you. All of you. Yeah, you got it.
Come on up on the side.
know we got a couple of administration members as well that are part of Delta Sigma Theta. Mr. President, first of all, I want to just bring up all of these esteemed ladies and gentlemen today because in Ward 6, we're fortunate to be home to the headquarters in the city of Cleveland of the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, as well as the Delta Sigma Theta. And I take great pride in that because they work closely with me on safety initiatives, on initiatives reaching out to the community. They come to our meetings on a regular basis. But for this specific award, I want to make sure that we acknowledge them for what they did with the Warm Hearts, Warm Coats drive that we had last year. And they just basically stepped up, stepped in. We got coats donated from Burlington Coat Factory. We had all kinds of other activities for the people that were there. And I just can't thank them enough, not just for what they've done there, but they've also done expungement clinics and other awards. They've also been active in other civic engagements. They really roll up their sleeves and get the job done. So I'm bringing them here today, and I'm going to ask for each of their presidents to make some remarks, to give them a round of applause and acknowledge them.
Thank you so much. On behalf of the Greater Cleveland Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, I thank you very much. This is something that we do. Social action is what we do. We love being in the community. We love helping others. And so this comes second nature to us. And so we would like to thank the councilman for just recognizing what we do in the community. And we will continue to partner in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you. On behalf of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Delta Alpha Lambda Chapter, we'd like to thank the councilman for this honor. It is our pleasure to be in the city of Cleveland and to serve and to do exactly whatever we can do. We hope to be around for a long time to continue. There are several other programs this year that we plan to institute in Ward 6. Thank you.
As the ranking member of the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, I have to give my brother, my colleague, Councilman Bashir Jones, an opportunity to say something. If you...
Thank you. It's such an honor to see this great group, honored. They do such amazing work. And Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, they are just, they run the city, honestly. So the work that they're doing in this community, I'm happy to see Councilman Griffin acknowledge them, and we're hoping that we can do even a lot more to show the people within this community and outside of it that we're not just here, but we are invested in the community. So thank you to Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated and also Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Thank you.
I want to make sure that I acknowledge two other people specifically, and I'm going to do her first because she is my new favorite, because she just gets it done, and she gives you that look like, I just need you to be on point, and I got the rest. We call her Miss Penny, but Darlene Smith is just a beautiful lady, and you know, once in a while you run into people that just really touch you with just their zeal and zest to really serve. So on behalf of City Council, we want to present you with this, Ms. Miller.
Thank you, Councilman Griffin, and I'd like to thank Joe because he asked us about collaborating. And would like to say that the Warm Coats, Warm Hearts is part of Good Morning America's initiative, and proud to say that our actual initiative here in Cleveland was recognized nationally on Good Morning America. So we'd just like to thank you and thank everyone.
And Miss Penny, she mentioned my main man, my little brother, my guy who, you know, just sends me encouraging texts all the time, and I've come to really enjoy him and our friendship. And I want to acknowledge him because really this was his idea. You know, as council people, sometimes we just steal ideas. And he actually came and sat down with me and said, I want to do a coat drive. And I said, I'm all in, let's get it done. And Joe Clark, I just want to acknowledge you.
I'm definitely be brief, but I just want to thank Councilman for the opportunity to partner with his ward as well as the women of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I just asked, they helped, they assist, they went well and beyond the call of duty. President for allowing me the space to serve, and we, like we said, continue to just do amazing work. And not to mention, Deliver Goods was also a huge partner in this initiative.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Griffin, and our many thanks to the Sigmas and the Alphas for all of the work you do for our community. First reading emergency ordinances to be referred for administrative and committee review.
Ordinance 535, 2019, by Council Members Griffin and Kelly by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Public Health to enter into one or more contracts with the Center on Urban Poverty and Community Development at Case Western Reserve University to provide evaluation services for the Moms First program. Ordinance 536, 2019, by Council Members Kane and Kelly by departmental request, authorizing the purchase by one or more requirement contracts of disposal of debris at landfills for the divisions of Water, Cleveland Public Power, Water Pollution Control, and Department of Public Utilities. Ordinance 537, 2019, by Council Members Brancatelli and Kelly by departmental request, authorizing Director of Economic Development to enter into a grant agreement with Arts Cleveland to provide economic development assistance to partially finance eligible costs associated with bringing the Dance USA Conference to the City of Cleveland. Ordinance 538, 2019, by Council Members Cleveland and Kelly by departmental request, authorizing Director of Port Control to exercise first option to renew a contract with West Roofing Systems for repairing or replacing roofs or roof systems at Cleveland Hopkins International Airport. Ordinance 539, 2019, by Council Members Cleveland and Kelly by departmental request, authorizing the purchase by one or more requirement contracts of FAA-approved de-icing chemicals for the various divisions of the Department of Port Control. Ordinance 540, 2019, by Council Members Cleveland and Kelly by departmental request, authorizing Director of Port Control to enter into a lease agreement with Swissport USA for the lease of space located in the passenger terminal building at Cleveland Hopkins International Airport to support its ground handling and other airline support service operations for multiple airlines. Ordinance 541, 2019, by Council Members Cleveland and Kelly by departmental request, authorizing Director of Port Control to enter into a lease agreement with United Airlines for the lease of certain space located in the South Cargo Facility building at Cleveland Hopkins International Airport. Ordinance 542, 2019, by Council Members Cleveland and Kelly by departmental request, authorizing Director of Port Control to enter into a lease with Key Corp National Association to maintain and operate an aviation hangar facility for the storage and maintenance of aircraft owned by Key Corp at Cleveland Hopkins International Airport. Ordinance 543, 2019, by Council Members Cleveland and Kelly by departmental request, authorizing Director of Port Control to enter into a lease with United States Postal Service to maintain and operate a warehouse, sorting facility, and post office retail store at Cleveland Hopkins International Airport. Ordinance 544, 2019, by Council Members Cleveland and Kelly by departmental request, authorizing Director of Port Control to enter into a lease agreement with Prime Flight Aviation Services for the lease of space located in the passenger terminal at Cleveland Hopkins International Airport to support its ground handling, SkyCap, and other airline support services operations for JetBlue and other airlines. Ordinance 545, 2019, by Council Members Zone, Cleveland, Brancatelli, and Kelly by departmental request, authorizing Director of Port Control to execute a deed of easement granting to Cargill and its successors and assigns certain easement rights located above 5300 Whiskey Island Drive and declaring that the easement rights granted are not needed for city's public use. Ordinance 546, 2019, by Council Members Griffin, Johnson, Brancatelli, and Kelly by departmental request, authorizing Director of Public Works to execute a deed of easement granting to the East Ohio Gas Company certain easement rights in property located along Wood Hill Road at the Ozell A. Dobbins Senior Maintenance Center. Ordinance 547, 2019, by Council Members Bashir Jones, Zone, Brancatelli, and Kelly by departmental request, authorizing Commissioner purchases and supplies to sell a portion of city-owned property no longer needed for use located at 4601 Chester Avenue to Richard and Kathy Lehman for the purpose of access to their business. Ordinance 549, 2019 by Councilmember Kelly to add the name Michael Stanley Way as a secondary and honorary name to Huron Road between Euclid Avenue and East 9th Street. Ordinance 551, 2019 by Councilmembers Bashir Jones, Johnson, and Brancatelli by departmental request, authorizing Director of Capital Projects to issue a permit to the Centers for Families and Children to encroach into the public right-of-way of Euclid Avenue by installing, using, and maintaining an ADA-compliant entrance ramp and railing. Ordinance 552, 2019 by Councilmembers Johnson, Brancatelli, and Kelly by departmental request, giving consent of the City of Cleveland to the County of Cuyahoga for the resurfacing of Ridge Road from Memphis to Denison, authorizing Director of Capital Projects to enter into agreements to apply for and accept an allocation of county motor vehicle license tax funds. Ordinance 553, 2019 by Council Members Casey, Johnson, and Kelly by departmental request, authorizing Director of Capital Projects to make alterations and modifications in a contract with Vandra Brothers Construction for the rehabilitation of Industrial Parkway, West 160th, and Enterprise, Briar, and West 139th Streets. Ordinance 554, 2019 by Councilmembers Johnson and Kelly by departmental request, authorizing Director of Public Works to enter into an amendment to the June 30th, 2016 Property Operations and Programming Agreement with the Group Plan Commission for Public Square to provide a restricted contribution to support the Commission's maintenance obligations on Public Square. Ordinance 555, 2019 by Councilmembers Cleveland and Kelly by departmental request to amend title in Section 1 of Ordinance 645, 17 relating to professional services to provide general planning, engineering, and design services for the Department of Port Control. Ordinance 556, 2019 by Councilmembers Cleveland and Kelly by departmental request, authorizing Director of Port Control to employ one or more professional consultants to design and implement an asset management program for a period of 1 year with 3 one-year options to renew. Ordinance 558, 2019 by Councilmembers Brancatelli and Kelly by departmental request, notifying Council of the final budget allocations received from HUD for the 2019 Community Development Block Grant, Home Investment Partnerships Act Grant, Emergency Solutions Grant, and the Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS Grant. Ordinance 559, 2019 by Councilmembers Brancatelli and Kelly by departmental request, authorizing Director of Economic Development to enter into a contract with Kiva Microfunds to implement a loan service portal citywide for early stage businesses. Ordinance 560, 2019 by Councilmembers McCormack, Brancatelli, and Kelly by departmental request to amend sections 1, 2, and 6 of Ordinance 1570-14 relating to a tax increment financing agreement with Gateway Huron or its designee to provide funding for the Nucleus Redevelopment Project. Ordinance 561, 2019 by Councilmembers McCormack, Brancatelli, and Kelly by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Economic Development to enter into one or more forgivable loan agreements with Gateway Huron or its designee to provide economic development assistance to partially finance the implementation of Nucleus Project and other associated costs located in the vicinity of Gateway lots at the corner of East 4th and Prospect Avenue. Ordinance 562, 2019 by Councilmembers Brancatelli and Kelly by departmental request, authorizing Directors of Finance and Economic Development to transfer $3 million grant agreements for economic development, financial assistance, and forgivable and non-forgivable loan agreements under the Vacant Property Initiative. Ordinance 586, 2019 by Councilmember Kelly by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Finance on behalf of the Clerk of Cleveland Municipal Court to enter into one or more contracts with Nash West for professional services necessary to provide project management services for the new case management system.
First reading emergency ordinances to be passed.
Ordinance 548, 2019, by Councilmember McCormack, consenting and approving the issuance of a permit for the Diversity Center of Northeast Ohio event on May 4th, 2019. Ordinance 549, 2019, by Councilmember Kelly, to add the name Michael Stanley Way as a secondary and honorary name to Huron Road between Euclid and East 9th. Ordinance 550, 2019, by Councilmembers McCormack and Zone, consenting and approving the issuance of a permit for the Rite Aid 2019 Cleveland Marathon, Half Marathon, and 10K course. Ordinance 557, 2019, by Councilmembers Cleveland and Kelly by departmental request, authorizing Director of Port Control to employ one or more professional consultants to provide technical support and maintenance of core information technology activities and other related activities, and to acquire software, and authorizing the purchase by one or more requirement contracts of the purchase, lease, or license of core networking hardware, software, server infrastructure, and wireless networking hardware to replace end-of-life devices. Ordinance 563, 2019, by Councilmembers Bishop, Johnson, and Griffin, authorizing Director of Department of Community Development to enter into agreement with the Beauty and Barber Empowerment Center for the Beauty and Empowerment Center program through the use of Wards 2, 4, and 6 casino revenue funds. Ordinance 564, 2019, by Councilmember Brady, authorizing Director of Department of Community Development to enter into agreement with Westtown Community Development Corporation for the Westtown CDC Code Enforcement Program through the use of Ward 11 casino revenue funds. Ordinance 565, 2019, by Councilmember Brady, authorizing Director of Department of Community Development to enter into an agreement with the Westtown Community Development Corporation for the Holiday Food Gift Card Program through the use of Ward 11 casino revenue funds. Ordinance 568, 2019, by Councilmembers Cleveland and Kelly by departmental request, authorizing Commissioner of Purchases and Supplies to make one or more purchase orders with Black Box Network Services and Intelenet Corporation for professional services necessary to restore flight and baggage information displays at Cleveland Hopkins International Airport, restore email services, install new threat protection software, and perform related services necessary to assess, restore, and secure the network.
Read the motion to suspend the rules.
By Councilmember Casey, that the rules be suspended and the legislation just read be placed on final passage, seconded by Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you. Prior to calling the roll, Councilman Mike Polensek for comments on first reading emergency ordinance to be passed.
No comments, Mr. Chairman. Just if I could be added to ordinance 549.
Yes,
Michael
please.
Stanley, peace. Thank
Yes, and if we could add Mayor Jackson as well, please. Councilman Zone, Councilman Griffin. Does anybody object to being added as a sponsor for Michael Stanley Way? Without objection, Madam Clerk.
So
Please
noted.
call the roll.
Kelly, Bishop, Brady, Brancatelli, Cleveland, Conwell, Griffin, Hairston, Johnson, Bashir Jones, Joe Jones, Casey, Kane, McCormack, Polensek, Santana, Zone. 17 yeas.
Please call the roll on passage.
Kelly, Bishop, Brady, Brancatelli, Cleveland, Conwell, Griffin, Hairston, Johnson, Bashir Jones, Joe Jones, Casey, Kane, McCormack, Polensek, Santana, Zone. 17 yeas, Mr. President.
Thank you. First reading emergency resolutions referred for administrative and committee review.
Resolution 569, 2019, by Council Members Cleveland, Zone, and McCormack, opposing Senate Bill 23, which prohibits abortion when a fetal heartbeat is detected.
First reading emergency resolutions to be adopted.
Resolution 566, 2019, by Councilmember Brancatelli, objecting to a new C2 liquor permit at 8003 Broadway Avenue. Resolution 567, 2019, by Councilmember Conwell, objecting to the transfer of ownership of a C2 C2X liquor permit to 891 Lakeview Road.
Read the motion to suspend the rules.
By Councilmember Casey, that the rules be suspended and the legislation just read be placed on final passage, seconded by Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you. If we all return to our seats for the call of the roll, please. Please call the roll.
Kelly, Bishop, Brady, Brancatelli, Cleveland, Conwell, Griffin, Hairston, Johnson, Bashir Jones, Joe Jones, Casey, Kane, McCormack, Polensek, Santana, Zone. 17 yeas.
Thank you. Please call the roll on adoption.
Kelly, Bishop, Brady, Brancatelli, Cleveland, Conwell, Griffin, Hairston, Johnson, Bashir Jones, Joe Jones, Casey Kane, McCormack, Polensek, Santana Zone. 17 yeas.
On which one? No, please record Councilman Polensek as a no on 569.
So noted.
Thank you. Second reading emergency ordinances to be passed.
Ordinance 295, 2019, by Council Members McCormack, Johnson, Brancatelli, and Kelly by departmental request, authorizing Director of Public Works to execute 2 deeds of easement, granting to the Ohio Department of Transportation certain temporary easement rights and property needed for its Detroit Superior Bridge Rehabilitation Project. Ordinance 326, 2019, as amended, by Council Members Johnson and Brancatelli by departmental request, authorizing Director of Capital Projects to issue 1 or more permits to Cellco Partnership, DBA Verizon Wireless, to encroach into the public right-of-way at various locations in the city of Cleveland by installing, using, and maintaining small cell technology equipment, fiber optic cable, duct banks, and vaults to be attached to the Cleveland Public Power, CEI, or traffic utility poles. Ordinance 329, 2019, by Council Members Hairston, Polensek, Johnson, Brancatelli, and Kelly, by departmental request, authorizing Director of Public Works to execute a deed of easement and 2 deeds of temporary easement, granting to the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District certain easement rights and property needed for its London Road Relief Sewer Project. Ordinance 330, 2019, by Council Members McCormack, Johnson, Brancatelli, and Kelly by departmental request, authorizing Director of Public Works to execute a deed of easement and 4 deeds of temporary easement, granting to the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District certain easement rights and property at Clark Field needed for the Sewer District's West 3rd, Quigley, Westerly, Miscellaneous CSO Control Project. Ordinance 375, 2019, by Council Members Cleveland, McCormack, Brancatelli, and Kelly by departmental request, terminating a contract with Cumberland TCC 1 for the development of Site C, located between the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the Great Lakes Science Center, to enter into agreement with Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to develop Site C and to authorize any other agreements that are necessary. Ordinance 508, 2019, by Councilmember Kelly by departmental request, authorizing the issuance and sale of bonds in the maximum principal amount of $12 million for the purpose of providing funds to improve municipal parks and recreation facilities and authorizing related matters. Ordinance 509, 2019, by Councilmember Kelly by departmental request, authorizing the issuance and sale of bonds in the maximum principal amount of $18 million for the purpose of providing funds to improve buildings and structures, housing, and providing for the discharge of governmental functions and services otherwise benefiting the public safety, health, and welfare for the provision of necessary fixtures, furnishings, equipment, technology, appurtenances, utilities, and site improvements for the purpose and authorizing related matters. Ordinance 510, 2019, by Councilmember Kelly by departmental request, authorizing the issuance and sale of bonds in the maximum principal amount of $23 million for the purpose of providing funds to improve the municipal street system and related facilities and authorizing related matters. Ordinance 520, 2019, by Councilmember Kelly, authorizing the Clerk of Council to enter into a trademark license agreement with U.S. Census Bureau, U.S. Department of Commerce.
Read the motion to suspend the rules.
By Councilmember Casey, that the rules be suspended and the legislation just read be placed on final passage. Seconded by Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you. Council members will please return to their seats for the call of the roll. Councilman Jones, if you... Thank you. Please call the roll.
Kelly, Bishop, Brady, Brancatelli, Cleveland, Conwell, Griffin, Hairston, Johnson, Bashir Jones, Joe Jones, Casey, Kane, McCormack, Polensek, Santana Zone. 17 yeas.
Please call the roll on passage.
Kelly, Bishop, Brady, Brancatelli, Cleveland, Conwell, Griffin, Hairston, Johnson, Bashir Jones, Joe Jones, Casey, Kane, McCormack, Polensek, Santana Zone. 17 yeas.
Thank you. Second reading emergency resolution to be adopted.
Resolution 169, 2019, by Councilmembers McCormack, Johnson, and Brancatelli by departmental request, declaring the intent to vacate a portion of Spruce Avenue.
Read the motion to suspend the rules.
By Councilmember Casey, that the rules be suspended and the legislation just read be placed on final passage, seconded by Councilmember Johnson.
Call the roll on adoption.
Kelly, Bishop, Brady, Brancatelli, Cleveland, Conwell, Griffin, Hairston, Johnson, Bashir Jones, Joe Jones, Casey, Kane, McCormack, Polensek, Santana, Zone. 17 yeas.
Thank you. This concludes the legislative portion of the meeting. Are there introductions this evening? Councilman Blaine Griffin.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Want to announce two people, the Neighborhood Leadership Institute, who came down here today. If they could stand up, Michelle and all of the Neighborhood Leadership Cleveland grads. I'm happy to say I was one of the founders for that organization. Now it's more than 1,100 members, so great to see them out today. The other person that I want to acknowledge is my cousin, the council president of Youngstown, Ohio, Jermaine Kitchen, if he could please stand. Where did he go?
Where you at?
He must have stepped out.
Tell him we said it.
So in advance, my cousin Jermaine Kitchen.
Councilman Phyllis Cleveland.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to introduce Lakita Worley. She's a longtime resident from Ward 5, activist, volunteer, very strong on issues of education, and currently a member of Clevelanders for Public Transit, as well as the East Tech Alumni Association, as well as many other organizations.
Wow, the list goes on. Welcome. Councilman Anthony Hairston.
Thank you, Mr. President. Take the opportunity to recognize two individuals who are here with us. One is a longtime friend of mine from my neighborhood, Miss Annette Price from Reliable Hearts. It's a nonprofit organization based in Collinwood who has done some of the most great work in our community. Let's give her a round of applause, too. Taking care of the young people, the sick, the shut-in, etc. And also Ebony Donnelly, stand-up Ebony Donnelly, from Collinwood Reads, helping to educate our young people all across the Collinwood community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Are there any other introductions? Are there any announcements? Is there any miscellaneous? Councilman Kerry McCormick?
I apologize, Mr. Chair. Mr. President, this is probably an announcement, but nonetheless, miscellaneous is miscellaneous. Mr. President, I'd like to invite all my colleagues, members of the administration, and our guests here tonight to this has got to be 5th or 6th annual, but this Saturday, May 4th, from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. is our annual Station Hope in Ohio City. This is a fantastic program put on by Cleveland Public Theater in collaboration with a lot of different partners. But Mr. President, the event is an innovative, both a mix of arts and culture and performance, storytelling that digs into the history of St. John's Episcopal Church at 26th and Church Avenue in Ohio City, which was a stop on the Underground Railroad that protected slaves that had escaped from the South and other areas on their way to Canada. So there's an incredible history at the church, and from that, this incredible event has been built to have the
I want to encourage us to think about how can we make sure that there's a regular presence, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or any other place where religious institutions are worshiping, that we can have a regular practice of just traveling around that area and making sure that they're safe. And what happens is that you have this voice in America that is getting louder and louder and trying to make their being fed by the person in the White House. But this is something that's encouraging people. So I think that we have to have a space that allows people to express themselves in a way that is respectful. And that leads me to, Mr. President, that I was in Philadelphia meeting with the council people there, and there was like a time for public comments. And it got kind of wild, though, so we don't want to do it like that. But I think it is something that we should think about and consider and create it in a way that can be successful, that we allow residents who are coming in to express themselves about what's going on in their society and what they're going through, and trying to figure out how we do it in a way that is respectful of all of our time, respectful of dignity, but at the same time, if we continue to suppress it, it gives a potential rise to violence. It gives a potential rise to people expressing themselves in a way. Dr. King said that rioting is the language of the unheard. It's the language of the unheard. So the more that we suppress people's right to speak, what ends up happening is that they begin to be harmful. So when we're walking out here, you know, people tend to be very aggressive with us. I don't know if my colleagues are going through it, but I'm definitely experiencing this sense of aggressiveness that residents have because they feel that they can't express themselves. So once again, thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman Matt Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I waited patiently to miscellaneous. I remembered the individual who passed away. And so if we could hold out a number for Marie DeMarco, D-E-M-A-R-C-O, Marie DeMarco. She is the mother of the City of Brooklyn's Council President, Tony DeMarco's mother.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. As there are no absences to excuse, the meeting is adjourned. Our next meeting is Monday, May 6, 2019.